You wanted it. Well, you got it, my friends. It's an all-new retrospective here on the ZNT Wrestling Show. We've talked about the universally acclaimed year of 2002. We've just finished talking about the up-and-down year for WWE in 2003. Now we're kickstarting one of my most nostalgic years as a wrestling fan in 2004. And honestly, I gotta say, Tomas, like, up and down, especially these first few pay-per-views, these are great. These are great pay-per-views.
These are definitely fantastic. I feel like as we go on with the years, again, my memories are becoming more and more vivid of, remembering a lot of these. I remember ordering this Royal Rumble and the first few pay-per-views of this, again, 2004, they're very nostalgic. And when we get into No Way Out next month, that's definitely going to be a very emotionally charged review for me. A very special show for me. And I did order the Royal Rumble in 2004 for one match and one match only. And it's not the match that you want to. It's the match you probably want to talk about the least.
Unbelievable.
But, we'll get to that when we get to that.
Not even the Royal Rumble match itself. The Royal Rumble's the best fucking stipulation, and you order it for the worst stipulation ever.
Considering it was my favorite wrestler and my favorite feud of all time, absolutely yes.
Okay,
you also said that everybody wanted it, but you know what? We were gonna do 2004 regardless if people wanted to or not, because we gotta keep going with this.
You viewers requested that I do 2004. I got so many inbox messages being like, "Hey Zach, when are you and Tomas gonna do 2004?" Well, now we're kickstarting it with Royal Rumble, January 25th, live from the what's now known as the Wells Fargo Center in the lovely city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. A great wrestling city, all things considered. If you're new to the channel, if you like what you hear for the ZNT Tandem today, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We've got a lot of really exciting wrestling content hitting you, coming your way very, very soon. We're going to continue with the 2004 retros, of course, but for right now, this is one of my favorite pay-per-views of the entire year, always, regardless, because you have the freaking main event here. Royal Rumble 2004, it's often considered the lost Royal Rumble because of what we'll get into by the end. But this undercard, man, I mean, aside from like the one match that you probably want to talk about the most out of anything else, it's pretty underwhelming, all things considered.
Yeah, we're, just to put it into perspective for everybody, with the exception of the World Heavyweight Championship match, every single match on this card is under 10 minutes. I feel like none of these matches were given time to like breathe and develop, and rightfully, like there were a lot of matches on the show that I did enjoy, but it's like they ended right as I was getting into, as we'll get into here. And we are opening, well, it's a WWE pay-per-view, and with Monday, if it's a WWE pay-per-view and there's Raw superstars being featured, you got to open up with the tag team
Dudleys.
The World Tag Team titles are on the line as Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley challenge the new World Tag Team Champions crowned at Armageddon, Batista and Ric Flair, representing Evolution. And the Dudleys make their way to the ring, and then Batista and Flair make their way to the ring, and they cut a promo on the ramp. And you know what? Batista, say what you want about Batista, but he's the smartest guy in WWE because he gets a little meta for a second. He gets on the mic and says, "What is it with you Dudley boys and title shots? We whooped your ass on Armageddon. We whooped your ass on Monday Night Raw. And here we are again. You get another shot at the tag team titles." And you know what? He has a point. The Dudley boys, dudes tend to just automatically get tag team title shots because the tag team pool in the WWE, as we talked about last month, is very shallow and not very much developed. The Dudley boys were on top of the world. And when the Dudley boys weren't the tag team champions, they were chasing the tag team titles.
I honestly found it very interesting that Batista was the one who cut this promo. This isn't like the Batista we all know and love from Guardians of the Galaxy now, who's great in front of the camera, and he's very, very polished as a performer. This is still a Batista who was under the learning tree, and they give him the microphone to cut this promo instead of Ric goddamn Flair, one of the greatest promos of all time, which I found to be a very interesting choice, but nevertheless, one of the big gimmicks of this is Jonathan Coachman on commentary, and you already see the problem here. This is a tables match. It didn't even get 5 minutes, and Jonathan Coachman had a hand.
A little over 5 minutes. It got 5 minutes and 29 seconds.
That's not long enough for a tables match, especially on the Royal Rumble.
This match was not given time to breathe. I will say this right now. Nothing really happened in this match. They kind of worked over each other for a bit, and let me tell you, the Dudley boys did their best, But them going 2-on-2 with a very green Batista and a Ric Flair who is way past his best years, in my opinion. He was better off as the manager position at this point, pulling out a good match here and there, but Flair was never really a tag team guy. And him and Batista, this is, it was very slow. It was very clunky. And, I feel like they got their greatest hits out of the way quick. One thing that Flair did do that a lot of people criticize him for is his lack of ring psychology, and that he always runs up to the top rope just to get thrown off military style. And that's exactly what he did. And, it didn't take until 2008
just to do
finally hit that crossbody.
Right, just to do the backflip gimmick over the top rope, right? He was whipped into the buckles or whatever, and then he does like the the Ric Flair style gimmick there. But
yeah, there really was nothing to this match. I feel like Bubba Ray and Devon tried their best to wrestle against Batista decently, but like I said, this is a very green Batista. He still has a lot to learn, and he was not. I feel like he wasn't selling the offense very well.
Yeah. But Jonathan Coachman runs interference because the Dudleys hit a 3D on him through a table on the last episode of Raw. The Dudleys go for a what's up drop on Coach. Flair stops it, and Batista spinebusters Devon through a table, and the Evolution guys retain the titles. The highlight of this, honestly, was I just want to say the highlight of this was Jonathan Coachman's announcement of the winners as he's selling the rib injury. I say what you want about Coach. I thought that was hilarious. And still, World Tag Team Champion.
Also, okay, considering we are on the third year of this retrospective, we have reviewed a lot of tag team multi-man table matches, and every single one of them have been elimination style except this one. So when
for some reason,
table, my mind automatically just went, well, Devon's eliminated. Now they can work on Bubba Ray. But no, match is over. Just like that.
Because you got to have time for the Rumble match, brother. But I didn't stop them from making it elimination at the 2000 Royal Rumble. But
yeah, I was gonna say I don't think that's a fair enough excuse, because I feel like a lot of these matches could have gotten at least double the time.
At least, and you could have shaved off like half the time of one match by not making it a certain stipulation. But anyway, half a star for this tables match. It was pretty weak, but
yeah, I'll give it a star for effort, but like I said, the match ended before anything really happened. There was no high spots. There was a couple moments of teasing with the table. Like I think the Dudleys tried to go for like a double suplex on Flair just for Batista to move the table. But again, there's not really much to say about this match.
It's very unremarkable for an opener.
Yeah, it was just there.
Yeah, it existed. It existed to give the Dudley boys their contractual rematch, and they lose. And they're off to SmackDown in a couple months anyway, so they're probably going to be losing a lot here. So, was this was the point where John Cena cut his battle rap, wasn't it?
I think so.
I think so. So I'll just talk about it right now. John Cena basically is backstage with Josh Matthews and his Frosted Tips. John Cena is basically running down a battle rap of people in the Royal Rumble, and something rhymes with RVD in there because he makes a certain reference, and then RVD comes in to finish off the rhyme. And I thought that was a really nice touch, something I never noticed as a kid. And rewatching it, I was like, oh my God, that was a really, really clever interruption, actually. And then John Cena being the smart guy that he is, makes a joke about the Mary Jane and RVD being on the Mary Jane. And I'm like, my word.
Watching this promo, I couldn't help but thank God I was 10 years old when John Cena was a freshly turned babyface with the rapper gimmick, because I feel like as an adult, it would take some time for it to grow on me, because I don't know. The rapping, at least right now, it hit a little harder when he was a heel.
Oh, totally.
Like it's gonna take some time for it to develop. I'm not gonna say Cena's green. I would say the gimmick is still a little green as a babyface. Like,
even a year in, over a year into the rapper gimmick, the Doctor of Thugonomics, it's green. He was over with this crowd.
No, as a babyface. I mean, as a babyface.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
And again, Cena's gonna get a lot better. He's gonna get his big moments. He's gonna get, featured in the Triple Threat in No Way Out, and he's gonna get his huge moment at WrestleMania. I just felt like watching this promo. If I was watching that promo as an adult, I feel like I wouldn't be. I feel like I would have jumped on the Cena hate bandwagon.
Right.
Like a lot of people, but I can proudly say I never jumped on the Cena hate bandwagon.
No,
Cena's been my guy for 20 years now.
I've always loved John Cena. Yeah, happy 20-year anniversary in a couple weeks at the time of recording, but holy shit, what do we got next? It's the Cruiserweight Championship on the line. Rey Mysterio defending against Jamie Noble, accompanied by his blind girlfriend, Nydia. And oh my god, who forgot about the blind Nydia gimmick? Raise your hand in the comments. Who forgot about this?
Because when I get to No Way Out, I've watched that videotape so many times that gimmick is embedded in my mind forever. So I really can't say that I forgot about it.
Tomas, he makes the joke about how he's like, you know, he's always nudging me like, hey, remember when such and such happened, X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, well, now I do, now that you remind me. The one thing that he remembers is freaking blind Nydia because of all the rewatching of the next pay-per-view. But
I feel like we have touched on this before, but in case anyone forgot, Nydia was blinded by the Black Mist by Tajiri. And for the past few months, Jamie Noble, that, you know, slimy bastard that he is, has been using his girlfriend as a human shield in a lot of his matches. And, you know, the commentators try to justify it. Well, Nydia can't see, so she doesn't know what's going on. But you mean to tell me there's not one person in that locker room, there's not one person on the street that went up to Nydia and said, hey, I know you can't see, but Jamie Noble has been purposely pulling you in harm's way these past few months?
How gullible can she be?
Person in that locker room.
No way, not a chance. But Jamie Noble basically just tells her to stay in place. Nydia just can't help but move. She's like, you know, like holding onto the ring apron for support, and she's moving around. Mysterio and Noble are really, really polished in the ring together. They just did not get enough time to really shine on this show.
This is literally, and I mean literally, do not blink, this match will be over.
Yeah, this is literally like, you know how quarterbacks run a 2-minute drill sometimes to make a comeback in the big leagues in the NFL? This is basically your 3-minute drill here. Rey Mysterio and Jamie Noble just throwing a million moves a minute, cruiserweight style, of course. Nydia is holding onto the apron, trying to, like, you know, trying to find her way around ringside. Noble's running the ropes, and Nydia accidentally grabs her boyfriend's boot, tripping him up, leading to Mysterio hitting the 619 and the dropping of the dime for the 1-2-3 and retaining the Cruiserweight title. Definitely not the best Cruiserweight title match you'll see on pay-per-view. There are much better ones throughout the 2004 retro.
What they squeezed into this 3 minutes and 6 seconds, I really enjoyed. I wanted to see these guys go for 15 minutes. This was excellent, but this was not a pay-per-view quality Cruiserweight title match. This felt like it was WWE felt obligated to include this match on the show, and like
it was rushed.
It was fun, but that's the thing. I can't. I'm going to be saying that a lot during this pay-per-view. This match could have been excellent. I'm not going to say it's excellent because I'm sorry, I can't say a 3-minute match is excellent.
No,
this was like a 3-minute exhibition.
It sure was. It was like you throw in SmackDown Here Comes the Pain and you have a 3-minute time limit and you just do what you can.
It's like, oh shit, I have to be at work in 30 minutes. Let me squeeze out one match before I have to get on the road.
I mean, it was passable. I mean, I'll give it 2 stars because the guys were throwing so much at each other. I mean, if I'm being more accurate about the rating because of how long it was or how short it was, it's probably 1.5 stars, but what the heck? I'm feeling generous. 2 stars. 2 stars.
Yeah, it's really hard to rate some of these matches because they're just so fucking short.
Including the next match.
Up, we have a culmination of a blood family feud that's been going on SmackDown for the past couple months. Los Guerreros are no more. It's Eddie versus Chavo. So basically, as we highlighted the past couple of months, Eddie and Chavo have kind of not been seeing eye to eye. Eddie Guerrero lost the United States Championship to the Big Show at No Mercy that we covered. But then they lost the tag team titles to the Basham brothers. They lost 3 matches Survivor Series. And now on SmackDown, Chavo's starting to get a little annoyed with his uncle Eddie, saying that Eddie's getting in the way. Eddie is selfish. He's not thinking about the team. He's only thinking of himself. And then Kurt Angle, who is a babyface, who
gets involved.
Has nothing better to do, decides to stick his ugly little head in the situation, basically by going, hey, Chavo, I don't want to get involved, but it's like Kurt wanted to unnecessarily cause drama for no reason. And he starts, you know, he starts adding flames to the fire, and he starts like trying to pick fights with Chavo and Eddie, even though on one episode of SmackDown, Chavo slapped the shit out of Eddie, and then Angle was the first one to come out and say, hey, you know, I understand you're mad at Eddie, but maybe slapping him wasn't the best idea. My only thing to say about this is Kurt Angle, mind your own fucking business.
I mean, you definitely have a point here, but let me actually, like, thinking about it more and more, just hearing you talk about Kurt Angle's involvement, it kind of had a little, like, thought formulating in the back of my mind, which I'll get to. But first thing I'll say about this, Tomas, is this storyline broke my fucking heart as a little kid. I was so in love with Los Guerreros. I could not help but love those two, even though they're cheating bastards. Been seeing Chavo
really
just
has nothing to do. Yeah, what happens next? Chavo and Eddie get one more shot at the Basham Brothers for the tag team titles on SmackDown. Everything's going great, and then Chavo just sits back and watches the Bashams beat up his uncle. Michael Cole on commentary saying like, "Get up, Chavo. That's your uncle. Go help him." Chavo just lets his brother. I mean, they're basically brothers, but
they're basically Technically, on the family tree, Eddie was Chavo's uncle. But with the years difference that split between them, I believe Eddie was only 3 or 4 years 4 years older than Chavo, rather. So they were basically
brothers.
Chavo was calling Eddie his brother. So
so basically at the end of this, Los Guerreros are no more, and Chavo even brings in his father, Chavo Sr., who tries to talk some sense into Eddie, but he's in the coup. It's Chavo and his father versus Eddie at this point. The stage is set. And first thing I got to say is, like, I forgot how underrated his current theme is excellent. But the theme he was using before that, it's a low-key bop. I'm not going to lie.
It was the theme that Eddie used back in his WCW days when he was dominating the Cruiserweight division. So Chavo decided to carry that over. Eddie Guerrero is a white-hot babyface. These two guys, their wrestling in this match technically was among the best on the entire show. These two, it's clear that they had been wanting to wrestle each other for a long, long time on the under the big WWE banner here. It was good. I really, really liked it. I think it would have been an instant classic if you double the length of this match. Easily.
Oh yeah. I think the psychology and the storytelling of this match was excellent, because one thing a lot of people ask about blood feuds is, if these guys hate each other, why are they putting each other in headlocks and doing submission holds? And
they're exchanging holds.
Yeah, but Michael Cole says on commentary that Eddie said that not only does he want to get revenge on his nephew, he wants to embarrass that little shit by out-wrestling him, by proving that he's the better wrestler in the family. And Eddie said, I'm going to out-wrestle and beat him, and then I'm going to beat the hell out of him.
Indeed he does. Yeah, and these two were beating the absolute piss out of one another. Chavo Sr. wasn't really getting involved as much as I remembered. One thing that I did notice rewatching this was just how amazing Michael Cole was on commentary as well, because he was chastising the Chavos for doing everything they did, and Taz was trying to justify their actions. Michael Cole was just... he was on another level in this. I mean, we give him a lot of shit now, but he was great back in 2004.
Because the passion was there. The passion was there for Michael Cole back in 2004. And
exactly.
It really,
he has no passion anymore.
Like I said, even when Chavo was making his way to the ring, I love how Michael Cole was just like, oh, what a coincidence that Chavo brought his father to ringside tonight. Like, he was absolutely livid with Chavo.
Yeah, he did not like Chavo Guerrero. He was not a fan. One big story element that I loved about this was Eddie refusing to get into a fist fight with Chavo, and the commentators were putting it over. Eddie Guerrero wanted to out-wrestle his nephew here and then beat the crap out of him, just to prove he was the better man, which is perfectly reasonable and perfectly honorable for a babyface who's fighting his blood relative, basically. There were a few points where Eddie hesitated punching him, and then they just start exchanging holds. Eddie hits a thumb to the eye. There's three amigos. There's exchanges of three amigos. Eddie shows who the master is. He hits the frog splash, and he wins. Just like that. One frog splash. You double the length of this match, and it's one of the matches of the year of 2004, in my eyes. Like, could you imagine what these two could do with 15 minutes? And add on the finish?
Was definitely an underrated feud, to say the least. I really love the promos. I love the build to this match, and I loved this match right here. I remember as a kid being really into this and being especially into what happens afterward. So Eddie stays true to his word, and Chavo tries to blindside him after the match, and both Chavos try to blindside Eddie at this point. But Eddie is able to get the upper hand, and he ties Chavo Sr.'s necktie to the rope.
I
and
forgot
starts
about
punching
that
the
part.
shit out of him,
I was
makes
like,
him
fuck.
bleed, and then he grabs Chavo, pulls him right next to Chavo Sr., and just starts beating the piss out of this boy. And you know what? Chavo deserved it. He got
Absolutely great. Oh, the only thing missing from this were the "You Deserve It" chants that the crowd started about 10 years after the fact, but because Chavo absolutely did deserve it after what Eddie went through with him. But I can't. I mean, as much as I liked the work that they put in, and as much as I loved the post-match beatdown, I gotta give this 2.5 stars, 2 3/4 if I'm being a little bit more generous. I mean, it needed more time.
Yeah,
Absolutely
it definitely needed more time, but the story they told was excellent, so I'm going to give it a 3. This was definitely the best wrestling match of the night, and this was just definitely planting the seeds on what they had planned next for Eddie, and I can't wait to talk about that.
Eddie Guerrero was absolutely the right person to win this match to end this feud, especially considering what he'd be doing at the next couple of pay-per-views and at WrestleMania. And that's getting to my point about Kurt Angle that I wanted to talk about. His involvement in this feud in hindsight, at the time, yes, I agree with you. It was very, very weird. Like, keep your nose out of the family business, Kurt. Like, what the heck are you doing? Why do you care? But it's planting the seeds for a WrestleMania program that I cannot wait to discuss.
Oh, absolutely. This was definitely, again, planting the seeds for Angle's heel turn, because it's like 2 months ago, we were literally just talking about Kurt Angle being that brave, bold leader of the SmackDown locker room, literally leading the charge against Brock Lesnar and his team of evil goons. And now he's getting involved with petty family drama. It's not very Captain America.
Not very heroic, is it? No. I mean, I sort of get where he's coming from. He's like trying to be the peacemaker here and all that, but like the peacemaker's an anti-hero. You know, he's the Captain America. Man, I just can't believe I made that analogy.
Basically, that is a perfect analogy. Kurt Angle went from being Captain America to being the peacemaker. I honestly could not.
There you go. Literally trying to be a peacemaker between Eddie and Chavo here. But, I mean, what the heck can you do? Speaking of technical...
up next.
Hold up. This is the point where Chris Benoit gets interviewed, and I want to talk about this because Ric Flair comes in with a bunch of champagne. He, Batista, and Randy Orton with their 10 pounds of gold on each shoulder. Flair cuts one of the best, most underrated promos I've ever heard in my life. He basically is running down Benoit, and he's basically saying, "You can't get the job done. You never win the big one. Even though you come so close, you never win." And that's why, I mean, Flair... that's why Flair was one of the best. You know, I mean, it kind of telegraphs the finish of the Royal Rumble, but it was everything he was saying was true. Benoit had never won the big one up to that point. And
3 points I want to bring up about this promo. Number one, it's a damn shame we never got a Benoit Flair program. That's a damn shame.
Yeah.
Number two, remember when it was magical to have a Raw guy and a SmackDown guy come face to face for the first time backstage at a pay-per-view like this?
Oh, I remember that.
How magical it was. And now it happens every fucking week on Raw.
Mm-hmm. It sure does. It sure does. Riddle's on SmackDown every week, even though he's on Raw, technically.
And then the last point I want to bring up is, speaking of, you know, the magic, remember when WWE, again, and I brought this up with other pay-per-views, remember when they started planting the seeds for WrestleMania things?
They sure did.
Like this, like 4, 5, 6 months in advance. And this was so subtle.
Hell, they started planting the seeds for SummerSlam. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but like Chris Benoit and Randy Orton in the same room at the same time on 2 separate occasions on this card. Like, if that's not planting the seeds, I don't know what is.
Long-term booking, WWE. Learn how to do it again. Please.
Well, I'm hoping they do at some point. Okay, so let's see. Up next, we have Brock Lesnar defending the WWE Championship against Hardcore Holly.
This
perennial mid-carder.
This is the definition of a obligatory match.
You don't say. You don't say.
Obligated to have a pay-per-view championship match over something that happened a year and a half ago. And considering I have no confirmation about this, something tells me Bob Holly was so pissed that he probably ran backstage with a gun, grabbed the nearest agent and said, if I don't get a Brock Lesnar WWE Championship pay-per-view match, you can say bye-bye to this guy.
Well, he certainly got 6.5 minutes of Brock Lesnar WWE Championship match on pay-per-view. This was all built around a freak accident on an episode of SmackDown shortly after Brock won the Undisputed Championship for the first time. Lifts up Bob Holly for a powerbomb, and Bob Holly unfortunately lands wrong, and he was about 3 inches away from being another Draws, unfortunately, but, thankfully he came out of it a little bit more unscathed. Bob Holly comes back with a vengeance at Survivor Series, gets himself disqualified, and now he's getting a title shot. I mean, the writing was on the wall. Like, it's cool that WWE is giving perennial mid-carders a chance, which is a big theme of 2004, you'll notice. But there was not a single person in that building who was convinced that Bob Holly was going to beat Brock Lesnar for this belt. Not a single soul. Like, even I as a kid, I was 7 years old at this time, and I was sitting there like, there's no way you're winning this. There's no way. Like,
watching the hype package for this, like literally, and I know this is a known fact, but watching this hype package made me realize, wow, Bob Holly looks like the most unpleasant person to work with, like on the fucking planet.
Yep.
Like we've heard the stories, we've heard the backstage stories. We literally sat there and watched WrestleMania 2000 when he interviewed with Michael Cole and straight up called him a little shithead and that he was going to break his ass in half so badly to the point where JR had to apologize for him like seconds later.
Oh my God.
Bob Holly has never, ever, ever came off as a believable babyface to me.
Never. Even though he interrupts Brock Lesnar's pyro as he makes his way to the ring to start the match off hot, basically.
I saw Bob Holly in a McDonald's. I would call the police just because he looks intimidating. I don't know.
You wouldn't. So just to be clear, you wouldn't call the police if you saw Brock Lesnar at a McDonald's, like Mountain Man Brock Lesnar, looking like he's about to kick your ass. If you just saw Bob Holly ordering something at McDonald's, you would call them.
I don't know, man. Brock Lesnar looks can be deceiving. The past year or so, I don't think Brock Lesnar's a bad guy. Bob Holly, on the other hand, he looks like...
I don't know. I mean, I'm Brock Lesnar, and I don't like human beings. That's why I don't appear in the airports, so...
Bob Holly looks like he would break your neck just for cutting you in line at that McDonald's.
Yep.
Anywho, speaking of breaking necks, this whole match revolves around breaking necks because one I would give credit to Bob.
Can I say something real quick? This is for the WWE Championship, and Bob Holly is more concerned about breaking Brock's neck than winning a title that he never got close to at any other point in his career. Like, this may be his only chance, and spoiler alert, it is, at the WWE title, and instead, Michael Cole, okay, here's my thing. I'm sorry if I'm, like, ranting myself dry, but Bob Holly hits his finishing maneuver, the Alabama Slam, the falling cravat on Brock Lesnar, and Michael Cole is sitting there like, cover him, it's for the title. But this fucking idiot instead decides to go for a hurt lock because he wants to break Brock's neck.
I was going to say, if there's any credit I'm going to give to Bob Holly, is that his psychology was extremely old school in this match, and he wasn't trying to Pillmanize Lesnar's neck. He wasn't trying to, use a weapon or some sort. He wanted to break his neck old school with a full Nelson. And I'm not going to lie, I respect that, actually.
I mean, yeah, you can respect that, but where's the psychology if the match is for the title, but you're more concerned about injuring your opponent? Shouldn't that be more reserved for a blood feud rather than a world championship match? Something you may never get again?
This is where the obligatory title match comes into play, because I feel like considering the circumstances, this match should not have been for the championship. But
not at all.
You are not going to have the world champion wrestle on a Big Four pay-per-view and not have the title on the line. If anything, maybe this should have been a grudge match street fight on SmackDown.
Unsanctioned. Yeah.
Like that.
Hardcore match. The clue is in the name. Hardcore Holly should have a hardcore match. You know? Like, beat me at my own game, Brock. That would... I can't believe I'm getting so mad at this.
This was the definition of obligatory. This match was there.
It was nothing. It was absolutely nothing.
It's like a lot of matches on this show, nothing really happened. So again, literally, it's just Bob Holly trying to break Lesnar's neck. He actually has the full Nelson on Lesnar pretty tightly outside of the ring. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, that's cool. Lesnar's tapping. You can break his neck, but you get back in the ring, you get counted out. Not only have you not broke his neck, you don't win the championship either. So Holly,
no,
you're going to make this guy tap out. Do it in the ring.
Yeah, commentators did not even acknowledge that Brock had tapped out on the outside of the ring. Don't think I didn't see that, because I absolutely did. But Brock, back in the ring, Holly tries to put the hurt lock on him one more time, and Brock snaps out of it, hits him with one F5 and pins him. That's the end of Bob Holly in the main event, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy it while you can.
This is the only chance. Well, yeah, it'd be on pay-per-view, but do you remember when Hardcore Holly got a WWE Championship match against JBL in 2004 on an episode of SmackDown?
I don't remember that at all.
It happened. It happened. I don't know why, and I don't care, but
SmackDown was... This is going to be a... Sorry, Tomas. This is going to be a big theme about SmackDown. It's really going to turn into the drizzling shits by mid-year. And I'm not excited to talk about it, honestly, but, I mean...
Gone are the days of 30-minute Iron Man matches. Gone are the days of iconic no disqualification matches with Eddie and Edge. Gone are the days of all that. We're going to get some cool stuff on SmackDown, but nowhere near the stuff they were putting on in 2002.
No way. No way. This match was boring. Made me mad. 1 star. 1.25 maybe. I mean, at least the right person won this. It's not like, Hulk Hogan burying Triple H at Backlash 2002. Didn't make me that mad.
Even if they did put the title on Holly, I guarantee it would have been for like 2 weeks. And then Lesnar would have immediately snatched it back.
Not even 2 weeks. Not even 2 weeks. It would have been like 2 days, if that. Like, Bob Holly would have gotten his revenge, and then Brock would have gotten his heat back on the next SmackDown. Like, that's all.
There was no reason, and there was no way on planet Earth you could ever convince me that Bob Holly should have won the championship tonight. This was literally a roadblock on Lesnar's, not even his road to WrestleMania, his road to No Way Out.
It's sort of like his road to WrestleMania. We'll get to that. We'll get to that later, but we got to get through some... We
are down to the final 3 times we will be talking about Brock Lesnar on these retrospectives until 2012.
Jeez. If we get that far.
Get a 10-year drought of Lesnar.
My word. Yeah, so until then, Tomas is about to torture me some more. You sellout.
Here we go. For the World Heavyweight Championship, it is Triple H defending against Shawn Michaels in a last man standing match. Oh, okay, so basically, as we know, Triple H won the title back from Goldberg and Kane in a triple threat match at Armageddon. And we're going to renew this rivalry because I feel like when WWE is kind of in the middle of Triple H feuds, they go right back to Shawn Michaels. And I have no problem with it whatsoever. This is my favorite feud of all time. You talk about your Hogan and Savage. You talk about your,
Rock and Austin.
Yeah, you talk about your Rock and Austin. You talk about your Hogan Andre. Triple H and Shawn Michaels was my Rock and Austin. So
Bret and Shawn.
Yeah, you talk about your Bret and Michaels. Michaels and Triple H. That was that was my favorite feud growing up as a kid. And
more power to you.
Yeah, we had our unsanctioned street fights. We've had our 3 stages of hell matches. I feel like these 2 men needed to go through everything. And a modern
literally everything.
A modern day equivalent would probably be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They're destined to do it forever. As a kid, I was convinced that Triple H and Shawn Michaels were destined to do it forever. And they damn near almost did.
Absolutely. I mean, Triple H and Shawn could wrestle 1,000,000 times, and I would never get tired of it. And I know what you're thinking at this point, viewers. I hate the last man standing match with a fiery passion. I do. Because I think it's so stupid how we have to wait for the near falls. Let me just tell you how long this match was. 22 minutes 45 seconds. For Triple H and Shawn, yeah, they're gonna wrestle long clinics like that. I mean, that's bound to happen. But when the near falls are always like 8, 9. Wait a little longer. Pause.
Tension.
No, he's back up.
It's the tension if they're gonna make it back to their feet or not.
Tension.
Anybody can get a 3 count, but you gotta beat your opponent senseless that he can't get up at all.
I could rant about this for hours.
So much drama.
I feel like I already have.
One of the high spots for me in this match is that Shawn Michaels was bumping and selling his ass for Triple H.
He was.
He was. In this match. And my favorite, Shawn Michaels goes for a springboard moonsault onto Triple H. Triple H moves, and Michaels fucking biffs it on the announce table.
Careens himself through the announce table, which looked absolutely painful.
And just smacks into the barricade, and I'm like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels does not need to kill himself for us, but he's doing it for us.
Shawn Michaels bladed off of a faceplant. That should tell you how good this man is. Because he can convince you that he's blading off of not a hard chair shot to the skull, not off of barbed wire, but just off of an announce table. And he can make it look convincing as all hell.
You have to give Shawn Michaels all the credit in the world. He knew what a disgusting piece of garbage he was in the 90s. And this whole 2002 on, he said, I need to give back to the fans, and I'm going to give my body to the fans. And he gave his fucking body.
He absolutely did. He would wrestle for 6 more years after this, even wrestling with a bum back, which is crazy to me. Even taking these crazy bumps, it's just absolutely remarkable what that man was able to do. But him and Triple H, again, you really think I hated this match. I didn't. I actually think, for my money, ladies and gentlemen, this may be a bold statement. I think this is the number 2 or number 3 best last man standing match in WWE history. Just for me. I would put this up there with Hunter versus Jericho at Fully Loaded. And I would put it up there with Rock and Mankind, just based on how much fun I had watching that match. I mean, this one, I mean, you definitely started seeing more of the tropes, the slow counts, the slow pace that Earl Hebner was going. But, I mean, these two did whatever they could with a bad stipulation. And I think they certainly delivered.
I genuinely, when people ask me, what's your favorite Triple H Shawn Michaels match? It's not a cop-out. I genuinely can't pick one. Of course, you put a gun to my head, I'm going to pick SummerSlam 2002. It's my favorite match of all time.
Easily.
But it's so hard to pick because every single time these guys had a match on pay-per-view, it was magic.
It was great.
Unsanctioned street fights, Hell in a Cell matches, Last Man Standing matches, 3 stages of Hell matches, including cages and tables and ladders, and I could see these guys go on all night. So
what about a boot? Excellent. What about a boot camp match?
Yeah, the match that Shawn Michaels decided.
Well, I mean, I'm glad he chose that match over a shitty stipulation like Last Man Standing. You know, boot camp is pretty good, man. It's just a anything goes match, you know. 3 counts. See, I'm just trolling him right back.
No. It's a no-holds-barred match, but they're dressed in army attire.
Oh, my God. It totally is. It's totally what it is.
Man.
Oh, my gosh. Shawn kips up at 7, even though he's bleeding profusely. It's a double count. And JR with the call of the night saying, "Are we seeing a miracle here?" It might as well have been. The Heartbreak Kid filled with miracles. The finish of this match I actually really loved. I thought it was super dramatic. Triple H hits him with the pedigree. Shawn gets up around 9. Again, it could have waited. You know, you could have had a 3 count instead of a 10 count. But, you know, what can you do?
Of course a pedigree is going to keep you down for a 3 count, but can it keep you down for 10?
If it's a pedigree, it kept Booker T down for 30 seconds at WrestleMania 19. It should be able to keep Shawn down for...
It's so dramatic to see if he's going to get up.
Unbelievable. But Shawn stands right back up. Triple H can't believe it. Shawn hits him with the hardest sweet chin music, I think, in history. And both men fall to the floor. This photo finish right here is the reason why I love this match. Not because of the stipulation, not because of the storytelling, but it's because of what it's set up. Shawn is staggering to get up at the count of 9. He can't quite do it. Earl Hebner counts to 10, rings the bell, declares the match a draw, but Triple H is still the world champion. This right here is what planted the seeds for an even better classic at WrestleMania. And that's what got Shawn Michaels involved with the main event of WrestleMania, is this photo finish right here, and being sort of screwed out of the title by a technicality, but that's the reason why I love it. The crowd in Philadelphia was chanting bullshit, and they had every right to do it. I mean, seeing a clean finish, I totally agree with it, get your money's worth and all that, but if you think about it, in hindsight, looking at where this feud was going, I don't mind it one bit. And that's the reason why I love this match.
The stretchers came out. Both men seemed to get stretchered out of the arena, but right as they're starting to wheel Shawn Michaels out, he rolls off the stretcher. He doesn't want to be stretchered out, and technically, he is the last man standing. So Shawn Michaels is adding more, just more gusto to why he be added to the main event. I'm going to give this 4 stars, as excellent as it was. Again, I understand the ending, putting a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
Yeah.
And I feel like that just avoided. Shawn Michaels said when he came back after he won the World Heavyweight Championship, he just wanted it for the moment, and he said he was never going to hold that title ever again. So it made every single title match a little predictable. So credit goes to that for wanting to protect that, and Michaels straight up refusing to ever go over for the title ever again. And spoiler alert, for the next 8 years, you're never going to see Shawn Michaels with the world title again.
Never. That just shows you, as much as bombastic as Shawn's character may have been, as arrogant as he was, Shawn was a humble man. And he, was willing to put over the newer generation for the good of the business and for the future of the business. So, mad props to him. I can't believe I'm saying this. This match is 4 stars for me. I'm going to match it. Even though it's a last man standing match, they put their hearts into this thing, man. This is absolutely not my favorite Hunter Shawn match. That will definitely go to the unsanctioned at SummerSlam. Hell in a Cell, which we'll talk about, is a epic match. Literally epic. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But for what it was, great last man standing match, all things considered. All right, so next up we had the Royal Rumble match. You guys have probably heard of a Royal Rumble match before. There's 30 dudes who come in, 15 from Raw, 15 from SmackDown. It's
even better nowadays, because now we get 30 dudes and 30 chicks.
Yep. So that's true. This was the only Royal Rumble match on this show, so this is what Gorilla Monsoon would say. This is what we've all been waiting for, because that's what the show's built around. And what other build do you need? It's the Rumble match. So, of course, y'all know the drill by this point. Every 90 seconds, which is just bullshit on their part. JR and Taz are calling the action, and Taz is giving his keys to victory like he did at Survivor Series.
Combination, by the way, a very interesting combination that we would never really see again after this between JR and Taz.
Yeah, well, I think they would call this Rumble and then the Rumble next year afterwards.
But let me tell you, I can go a whole lifetime without ever seeing Cole and Lawler do commentary again, and it'll still be too soon. So this was a nice breath of fresh air.
There you go. JR and Taz were great together, I thought, at least. Number 1, of course, is Chris Benoit, who was given the number 1 entry. What?
Whoa.
What's
We're forgetting the crucial part, what happened before the match.
Oh, son of a bitch, you're right.
Bischoff comes out, and
you are right.
I'm
so sorry.
Eric Bischoff comes out and starts flopping. You're good. He starts flapping his gums about the Royal Rumble match. Out comes Paul Heyman, the SmackDown general manager, who comes out to his original ECW theme, by the way. That's a nice touch.
Big pop for Paul Heyman, by the way. ECW chants in there. So, there you go.
Heyman and Bischoff, they start squabbling, but then they start getting physical with each other. And let me tell you, Heyman versus Bischoff in a shoot fight, I would pay money to watch that.
Yeah.
I would love to see just who would fucking go down.
Certainly better than whatever match Bischoff had with another SmackDown general manager, which I don't want to get too ahead of myself in saying that, but this would have been much better than what would have come later.
So remember 2 months ago, we were all literally crying over Stone Cold Steve Austin being fired from the company, and that was his swan song? He's back.
Yeah, he's the sheriff of Raw. He's laying down the law. He was too popular, and they missed him too much. So They just brought him back. Linda McMahon was like, yeah, we're going to need a sheriff to keep things in order. And of course, glass shatters, crowd pops, they don't care. And I'm like, in hindsight, I'm like, his retirement was perfect. You didn't need to bring him back. But
it's just so funny. I mean, it's nice. Again, in hindsight, it is nice to see Austin back just so we can get his revenge on Bischoff, because I love seeing that, because, you know, he was done dirty at Survivor Series, but it makes you wonder what was the point of Survivor Series if he was literally just going to be months later. Not for long, though.
What's the point? What's the point, indeed? He comes in.
He's here for WrestleMania season. And like you were about to say, he comes in and he just beats the shit out of Bischoff and Heyman.
Yeah, that was your base. That was basically what would be the like your cool down between your last man standing match and your Royal Rumble match, which is kind of ironic that it's a cool down with Stone Cold Steve Austin in there. But like I was saying, Royal Rumble match starts. Chris Benoit is number 1. He was given the number 1 entry slot by general manager Paul Heyman as a punishment for Chris Benoit being a thorn in his side, and for notably Chris Benoit putting him in the sharpshooter and forcing Paul Heyman to swallow a bar of soap, thanks to John Cena. Chris Benoit was a big catalyst of that, and one of my favorite SmackDown segments ever. It was great.
It's very important to point out that as of now, Benoit is a SmackDown superstar. So remember that. As of now, Benoit is on SmackDown.
He is.
And number 2 is the current Intercontinental Champion, Randy Orton.
Yeah, Benoit and Orton. It's an interesting matchup, kind of playing into the interview that Benoit had earlier that Evolution interrupted. So these two mix it up, and they're in the ring for most of this match. And I gotta say, their chemistry was really solid here. I believe this is the first time they'd ever locked up in a WWE ring or anywhere. I thought Randy Orton certainly held his own, and Benoit was making him work. Benoit was known as the workhorse back then, but
again, this is the magic of SmackDown and Raw superstars only tying it up in these big shows like your Survivor Series, like your Royal Rumbles. This was a match we never seen before. And again, in modern times, you would see this match every fucking week on both shows.
Yeah, you certainly would. So they mix it up for a bit, 90-second intervals. It should be worth noting that as a kid, the 2 Royal Rumble matches that I had watched previously, actually, no, scratch that. The 3 that I had watched previously, 2001, 2002, and 2003, all the single-digit numbers, they were out of there. They were gone. And I wasn't really used to it. So this is the first time that I really saw Iron Man performances on both fronts from Benoit and Orton, because they would be in the ring. Obviously, in Benoit's case, he's in there the whole match, and we'll be talking about him. But Randy Orton was in there for a good amount of time, too. Number 3 comes out, and it's the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, who really threw me off coming out to Mac Militant, which is Teddy Long's theme song. Teddy Long is his manager at this point. Mark Henry
are still 2 years away from having 3-6 Mafia be his theme song, so hang in
there. Hang in there. Yeah, it's this is the only time we talk about Mark Henry in the year 2004. So cherish it while you can. This guy, I believe, would be sent back down to developmental, or he was injured in some facet after the Royal Rumble, but
a combination of both.
Yeah, but in any case, Mark Henry goes in there, mixes it up with Benoit just clubbering blows. He mixes it up with his Survivor Series teammate, Randy Orton, from a couple months prior. Number 4 is former Cruiserweight champion Tajiri, who was a heel, but he came off like such a big babyface in this match. It was so bizarre. It was so weird. Tajiri was in there fighting Orton and Mark Henry mainly. He wasn't really mixing it up with Benoit all that much, but, I mean, Tajiri was technically a heel in canon, so he goes in there. Camera completely misses him spraying the mist in Mark Henry's eyes. I may be jumping the gun a little bit, but that is a key spot with Tajiri in here. Number 5, Tomas. Very, very important figure in 2004. Who is it?
It is John Bradshaw Layfield. Not John Bradshaw Layfield, just Bradshaw.
Just Bradshaw.
Remember those initials? We're going to be talking about it a lot. And considering his performance in this Royal Rumble, Bradshaw was ready for that gimmick change, because he is thrown out in 38 seconds.
Bradshaw with his APA theme song. No Farouk in this match. He hits a clothesline from hell on Randy Orton, taking his head off. Hits a clothesline on Tajiri, like, as hard as he can. Hits Mark Henry as hard as he can with the clothesline. Goes for one on Benoit, but it's a beautiful reversal into a crippler crossface. It was so crisp and so clean. Bradshaw lifts Benoit over. Bradshaw tumbles over the top rope. Elimination number 1 of Chris Benoit. And that's actually going to be key to, look at as we go through this. Number 6 is the Man-Beast Rhino in his first ever Royal Rumble as a House of Fire. This is the point where Tajiri sprayed the mist. And this is one of my favorite spots in the entire Rumble. He puts Mark Henry in the tarantula. Rhino is really adamant of going after Benoit, as they were former tag partners, as Tomas would remember for sure. He goes for the gore. Benoit moves out of the way. Mark Henry gets the brunt of the gore, but the momentum knocks Tajiri out of the ring in a totally unsafe spot. I thought he was dead. Tajiri looks like he landed on his head. But Mark Henry had the mist in his eyes, and Benoit was bouncing off the ropes, knocks Mark Henry clean out of the ring, eliminates Mark Henry all by himself. That's two big guys that Benoit threw out of there. So, which is, again, really, really impressive. Number 7, oh man, okay, I gotta pull this out, but you can talk about this next entry, Tomas.
Number 7 is Not So Broken Matt Hardy, coming from
Nope.
Monday Night Raw, and Hardy was at a very interesting point in his career so far. His brother Jeff isn't there. He's kind of done with the heel stint on SmackDown. He's kind of just floundering this point on Raw.
He sure is. And Virgie Wana is still full swing. Tomas, did you know that Matt believes that Thanksgiving is a boring holiday?
That's a hot take, but okay.
I know. It's right. Yeah, it's not a boring holiday. You get to eat a bunch of food. Did you also know that Matt was the MVP of the 1999 No Mercy ladder match?
Well, of course he was. He was the workhorse in that
match. Yeah. I don't want to make the joke right now, but you had to have some Matt facts thrown in there. Number 8 was I need to look at my list here. Number 8.
Scott Steiner.
I'm drawing up. Go figure. Scott Steiner. Yeah, he comes into the ring and all of his offense looks so fucking sloppy, as it usually is. Steiner is suplexed, and I thought Benoit had broken his back. Yeah.
I want you to enjoy the next 7 minutes, because this would be the last time you see Big Papa Pump in the WWE.
Sure would.
Release shortly after this in 2004, and we would never see him again in WWE until his Hall of Fame induction with his brother Rick this year.
Yep, and his nephew Bronson would induct him for sure. And he said, "I'm about to make the most risky move of my career and give my Uncle Scott the microphone." Should we do the moment of silence when he gets eliminated, or do you want to do it now?
Yeah. When he gets eliminated.
Okay, cool. All right, so Steiner comes in. His offense looks sloppy, as it usually did in the past year. This is the guy who challenged Triple H for the world title at the previous year's Royal Rumble in one of the worst world title matches of all time. You can go back and listen to Tomas and I's rant about that if you want. Number 9 is very young Matt Morgan. Here's a dumbass moment here. Again, Tomas thought this was Nathan Jones a couple months ago. But there's Matt Morgan. There.
Matt Morgan, the blueprint, is in this Royal Rumble, and considering the last 3 entrants, what is this, 2011 TNA? Is this the TNA training grounds?
Except, well, you have like Rhino, you have Matt, you have Steiner, and you have Matt Morgan all in succession.
And the next 2 entrants would be future TNA stars as well in some capacity.
Was the Hurricane in TNA?
He was. Shane Helms.
I don't remember that at all.
In 2016 and 2017, he was a manager.
Oh, yeah, that's probably why I don't remember. But anyway, the Hurricane comes out, and Matt Morgan just basically puts him into fucking orbit, tosses him to the outside. Hurricane might have tore his knee on the way out. That's not the most gruesome injury that you'll see out of this Royal Rumble, as we'll talk about. Number 11, Booker T with his WWE Originals theme song, "Can You Take It?" which a lot of people hate. I think it's fun. I think it's fun.
It's
I like it.
but not as, it doesn't crunch. Like,
Booker T. No. Booker T raps in that song.
Yeah.
He raps.
And, as a kid, you're sitting there just dissociating, and you're just randomly thinking that random laugh that happens in Booker T's theme song.
Yeah. Yeah. What? So stuff like that. Booker is basically spending his 90 seconds mixing it up with his WCW teammate, Scott Steiner, as JR called him. Number 12 is Kane, but before we get to that, fucking Kevin Dunn was missing eliminations even back in 2004, folks. Booker T, as Kane was coming out through Hellfire and Brimstone, Booker T tosses out Scott Steiner and sends him packing to be released about the next week after. Moment of silence.
Can we have a moment of silence for Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner? Hey, Zach.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, Zach.
What?
Somebody give me a fucking mic.
Yeah, leave the memories alone indeed. One of Tomas's favorite moments in history, leading to one of the most disappointing runs I think I can remember out of anybody. Scott Steiner in WWE. That's an interesting topic. But speaking of interesting, Kane comes in.
Kane.
Yeah, Kane. Kane is a
house of fire.
He literally is a house of fire, and he is not lining up. He is definitely lining up with his political ideologies now at this point. He is not masking up in the ring, and he is choke slamming people left and right. Goozles Chris Benoit sends him a slam dunk down to the mat. Literally, big boots Rhino in the middle of a gore attempt, and it was so sick in the moment. I was like, man, Kane is just kicking ass. Choke slams Randy Orton. He's the only one standing. Number 13, the countdown goes down. Gong! And the crowd goes crazy for this Undertaker gong here. And this would be like my first exposure to Dead Man Undertaker. This is, I miss this, man. The Royal Rumble planting the seeds for major WrestleMania matches. This is one of them. This is just one out of 4.
Kane is distraught. He immediately goes to the ropes and he is screaming,
"I buried you alive!
Impossible. I buried you alive!"
Yeah, that's impossible.
Booker T takes advantage. He throws Kane out of the ring. Kane was in the ring for 90 seconds. Huge elimination for Booker T. And as Kane is making his way up the ramp, Spike Dudley, who was originally supposed to be in the match, makes his way down.
Number 13, Spike Dudley.
He takes a fucking vicious chokeslam on the ramp.
Oh, God, that poor guy was... Kane, one arm, slam dunk Spike Dudley on the steel ramp, and it sounded... Oh, man. Yeah, this was a stiff chokeslam. But I guess this was a way to give Kane his heat back. And technically, Spike Dudley was never eliminated from the 2004 Royal Rumble, so I guess he can put that on his mantle. So, number 14 comes around... The cursed number, as I always like calling it, because usually something terrible happens to the number 14 entrant throughout the course of a year or so. It would turn out to be Rikishi. Spoiler alert, Rikishi was released by the summertime. So, curse number 14 strikes again. He comes in, Rikishi hits the ring. As he does so, Rhino charges at Benoit again, and Benoit finally gets the upper hand on his former friend, tosses him to the outside. That's a third giant that Benoit has tossed out of this match, all on his own.
Sweet poetic justice right there, if you ask me. It
was great. It was absolutely great. Rikishi's in there. Anywho, yeah, you have the floor.
Rikishi comes in, and Matt Morgan gets a stink face for his troubles.
He sure does. Yeah. Welcome to the big leagues, rookie. Here's a stink face. That must have been his hazing and initiation per Rikishi.
Matt Morgan actually just returned to Impact Wrestling this past Thursday, surprisingly enough.
Of course he did.
Yeah, so
of course he did.
Good for him.
Good for him.
I don't know. I really don't know how to feel about Matt Morgan. I really don't.
It's such a forgettable tenure in WWE, to say the very least, for him.
Hey, it does not get any better in TNA either. So don't think,
No,
yeah, go watch Matt Morgan in TNA. No.
he was there longer, and
He's
you know,
he's
he's
he's not a good wrestler.
no. Thank you for saying that.
Not a very good wrestler.
Number 15, speaking of green at the time, it's Rene Dupree, one half of La Resistance. WWE had so much high hopes for Rene Dupree. He was 20 years old at the time, and that's another name that we will be mentioning a lot through this 2004 retro. Rene Dupree comes racing down to the ring, tosses Matt Hardy, does his French tickler dance, which was probably his most over gimmick. And right behind him, Rikishi is doing the French tickler, waiting for him to turn around, and big old giant super kick. See you later, rookie. Number 16, speaking of giants, is the A-Train, who looks like he clean-shaved everything except for his back and his torso. Just to fuck with the fans. Just to keep up the gimmick, you know? But yeah, there were a lot of eliminations in here, weren't there?
Yes.
The ring cleared at the time A-Train came down. It was so weird.
A-Train eliminated. Did he eliminate anybody? I don't think he did, because he was
only
there for less than 2 minutes.
He just fought Benoit, and Benoit tossed him out before the next entrant came out, Shelton Benjamin. One half of the world's greatest tag team. Benoit tossed A-Train. He also tossed Matt Morgan, so that's 2 more giants to add to his resume. Total of 5 at this point.
And this is going to bring up a little theme that I am noticing, but I will wait to the end of the match to bring that up.
Oh yeah. It's a pattern that I'm highlighting for a very good reason. Chris Benoit's a freaking dirty, hairy, like badass in there, entering at number 1.
JR begins to praise Benjamin's athleticism, but before JR can finish his thought, he is eliminated by Randy Orton. It's one of those infamous quick Royal Rumble tenures for Shelton Benjamin, which has always boggled my mind. Like, he's in and he's out of there. It's so bizarre. But Orton at that time had also eliminated both Rikishi and Booker T by himself. So he was stacking them up like in his own right. Let me ask you something when it comes to the Royal Rumble. What do you prefer? Do you prefer when the ring fills up and stays filled up? Or do you like these mass eliminations and then there's only 2 people left?
I prefer good booking. I honestly liked the fact that it was sprinkled out like this. I am a big fan of when the ring is all filled up with dudes like who come in one after the other. But I also like seeing, guys go on a tear. Like, that's why I loved the 2001 Royal Rumble so much with Kane's 11 eliminations.
Yeah, because, I don't want to go on a tangent, too much of a tangent, but you know what my least favorite Royal Rumble of all time is?
What's that?
2010. Because throughout that entire match, I feel like there was no more than 4 people in the ring at the same time.
See, I actually liked the 2010 Royal Rumble, mainly because of the booking. This one, you had a good mix of not very many dudes in the ring at once. Benoit and Orton are just in there by themselves. But then you also had the big Battle Royal-like sequences there. We could talk about it more at length later, but I really like the 2010 Royal Rumble. I think I might be one of the few that does, but Benoit and Orton are in the ring by themselves. They clunk heads. They're down for the count. It's a perfect opportunity for number 18 to come in and just freaking wreak havoc. And who is it, Tomas? Who comes down?
The Cat Miller.
Yes.
It was not a surprise, by the way. He was confirmed and advertised for this Royal Rumble.
He was on SmackDown. He was a SmackDown superstar at that point.
If you don't remember who Ernest Miller is, she's too young for you, bro. If she doesn't know who the Cat is, she's too young for you. Ernest the Cat Miller was a WCW legend. I do not care what anyone says. That man was a legend.
Yeah, he sure was. He sure was. Right at the end of WCW's run, he was super popular over there. Back around 1999 into 2000.
And he is the original master of Somebody Call My Mama. That is his theme song.
It is.
Irises.
Yeah.
It's Ernest Miller's.
He had the MC with him too, Lamond, I think his name was. Who remembers Lamont? Yeah, and in a wig, and Benoit, like, they're dancing in there. Taz is singing the theme song as well, which makes the moment even better. Both the guys are down. The fools are dancing there. Benoit finally gets up, sees the nonsense going on, grabs the MC by the head, tries to throw him out. The wig, like, is pitched all the way to the other side of Pennsylvania, and Taz is like, well, the wig's eliminated. Then Benoit finally grabs Lamont. Randy Orton tosses the cat on the other side of the ring. This moment was gold. I don't care what anybody says. I loved it.
Or was Benoit fucking manhandling him?
Yeah, Benoit beat he beat the piss out of Lamont.
He didn't throw him through the ropes. He didn't throw him over the ropes. He was trying to throw him like at the ropes. It was trying to decapitate this poor man.
Oh man,
he did not fucking like him. I feel like he was legit trying to hurt him.
Probably. Hey, I don't care what anybody says. I was really entertained by that whole sequence, and Taz was the best at that point.
Just for the record, Ernest Miller lasted longer than Shelton Benjamin. He lasted longer than Bradshaw.
No.
And he lasted longer than Rene Dupree.
What?
He lasted longer than the Hurricane.
What? Just from dancing?
He lasted longer than all those guys.
What the fuck is up with this match?
Like 56 seconds.
Oh my god. I mean, I loved it. I mean, if you have not seen that sequence, like, it's good comedy right there.
And no more fucking around. Who's number 19?
Kurt Angle. Call me Kurt Angle, and all that stuff, all that nonsense. I look like Rambo. Oh yeah, it's true. He comes in there and he basically
he ain't fucking around.
He's not. JR said that no, it was Taz that said that Kurt dedicated a win in the Royal Rumble to the fighting troops in Iraq. And I was sitting there like, as a kid, I really wanted Kurt to win this thing, but looking back on it, yeah, it's okay that Kurt didn't win. But Kurt goes in there, he's suplexing both guys, him and Benoit are revisiting their classic from the previous year's Royal Rumble. Who's number 20? It's so odd.
Rico.
Yeah, Rico, the fashion stylist for Billy and Chuck with a completely different gimmick. I don't even know what his gimmick really was. I mean, he was how would you describe this Rico?
I don't want to say this, but unfortunately, he's a product of the time. Rico's gimmick was he's gay.
He's gay and he has eye candy. Jackie Gata at ringside.
So here's the thing, though. People want to swear up and down that having a gay flamboyant character in wrestling is bad. But let's take you back on a little history lesson with men like Goldust, who were tough as nails.
Adrian Adonis was tough as nails, too.
Adrian Adonis. I was going to say he was the pioneer for stuff like this. And these men were tough as nails. So I don't ever want to see a gimmick like downgrading people like this ever again.
Rico was a cop in Las Vegas, too, so he ain't screwing around.
I never made fun of Rico for the flamboyantness. I made fun of his sideburns.
He's the fashion stylist for Billy and Chuck, who Taz actually asked JR. He was like, "Hey, JR, you've been married a bunch of times. You haven't been married to a guy?" And I'm like, what the fuck? What?
JR's just like, nope.
No, I haven't. That's not my thing. But there was some really impeccable timing as Benoit hits a German suplex on Angle, literally right at the exact same time as Orton nails Rico with the RKO. Orton tosses Rico. That's about 5 eliminations for young Master Orton, who's him and Benoit were in the ring for over half an hour at this stage. But then we get to the big angle of this Rumble.
There is a point of this Rumble that we didn't bring up. It was that there was an empty chair in the front row this entire time. And if you've been following on Monday Night Raw, Randy Orton had personally invited Mick Foley to sit front row at the Royal Rumble. And Foley didn't show up for the entire show. And JR before the match said, if Foley does not show up, I will call him a coward. So Taz said, are you going to? And JR said, well, I mean, he's not here. And Taz says, well, you need to say it. And JR says, okay, fine. Foley's a coward. and it killed him. But Test's music hits, and we're waiting for Test.
Poor Test,
and
man.
Test, come on. Test is laid out in the backstage, and Stone Cold Steve Austin says this, and he looks off to the side and says, "What are you doing, you son of a bitch? That's my 21 entrant. You know what? You go out there. You're number 21. All right, get your ass to the ring." And who is it? But Mick Foley.
Yeah, it was such a great swerve. I loved that so much as a kid. I was like hearing Stone Cold saying like, "All right, well then you're number 21, son. What? Get your ass to the ring now. What?" And all that stuff. I'm like, who the hell could it be? I'm sitting there thinking about like, oh man, there's so many possibilities. Mick Foley's music hit, and then I was like, oh my God, as a kid, I was so hyped to see him. But oh my God, like in hindsight, of course it would have to be Mick Foley. Like who else would be the surprise entrant? So he goes in there, beats the absolute fuck out of Randy Orton, hits the cactus clothesline, eliminates not only Orton but himself. And the commentators note, oh yeah, he eliminated himself, but Foley doesn't give a damn. He doesn't give a damn. And I'm like,
I love how when Orton got eliminated, you had Angle and Benoit still in the ring, and they were kind of just watching the whole thing, and I could just imagine Benoit looking at Angle and going, "No, let Foley take care of his business. This has nothing to do with us."
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And they didn't necessarily have to work any other style of match while the stuff on the outside was going on, because that's what the camera was focusing on throughout the next couple of entries, actually. Number 22 would be Christian with his banger of a theme song, very underrated. He goes to the ring and works with Angle and Benoit for a bit. It was like, that just shows you how professional a lot of those guys were. They were working a match for the live crowd, even though the TV camera wasn't really focusing on them. It was focusing on Mick Foley and Randy Orton beating the crap out of each other on the outside. Steel steps. Orton with an totally unsafe chair shot to the head. How is Mick Foley's brains not completely scrambled at this point?
And then he takes this man full handful of hair and just splats him on the ramp head first.
Yeah, it's not good, not good at all. But they're on the ramp, they're fighting a little bit more. Randy Orton's trying to flee. Mick Foley pulls out Mr. Sacco. The countdown is going down. Number 23 is Nunzio. Mick Foley turns around and puts the mandible claw on Nunzio, and it's like, it was so like, Nunzio sold it brilliantly too, might I add. And Randy Orton took that opportunity to flee.
Is the smartest man in this match.
See you at WrestleMania. Yep, because Taz at the beginning was like, okay, well, first off, you gotta try and hide. Nunzio apparently was listening to that whole spiel, and he sits pretty much on the outside for a good 10 minutes watching all the action go on. And I'm like, well, why are Christian, Benoit, and Angle in there still fighting? Why aren't they just waiting until all the entrants come out and then they just get into the ring and fight? Like,
Nunzio's the smartest man on the roster.
He is. He's a full-blooded. He's a mob boss. That's his gimmick. You know, he has to be the smart one. So, number 24 is Taz's pick to win, which should spoil the end for you. It's going to be Big Show, the United States champion, going in there, beating the crap out of these guys. He's the giant, so he's got to.
It's probably the best Big Show has ever been booked in a Royal Rumble match.
You think so? Yeah, it's
100% next to 2000.
Yeah, that's the other one. He was a Royal Rumble or runner-up rather. Well, I think honestly, I agree with you. He was booked. He actual winner. You son of a bitch. He was no.
Big Show won that Rumble. Big Show won the 2000 Royal Rumble.
But Rocky. No, but Big Show.
Don't let Tanahashi and John Moxley distract from the fact that Big Show actually won the Royal Rumble in 2000.
Oh my god! Don't let Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay distract you from Big Show winning the Royal Rumble. Two can play at this game, fucker. Two of them.
AEW Forbidden Door. Yeah, don't let that distract you from the fact that how did the Giants survive after getting shoved off the roof during the Monster Truck Sumo match at Halloween?
Oh, wait, what? Monster Truck Sumo match and the Yeti.
You ever fall asleep You ever fall asleep and you're trying to go to sleep and your brain just says, how did the Giants survive getting shoved off the roof by Hulk Hogan during the Monster Truck Sumo match?
The stuff we think about at 10 o'clock p.m. at night. This podcast has gone off the rails, clearly. But, yeah, so point is, Big Show's in this match. Big Show is very large. It's very hard to eliminate him. Chris Jericho tries to do it at number 25 to no avail. Nothing's really going on. Charlie Haas comes out at number 26. And this is the point where, again, planting the seeds for a WrestleMania match. Christian and Jericho are teaming up pretty much throughout the rest of this match. Jericho is kind of teetering on the line of heel and babyface at this time. It's a very weird point in Jericho's career. He's out there. He's teaming up with Christian still. Christian tries to toss Jericho, and then Jericho just back body drop. Second year in a row, he's eliminated Christian from the match. Stay tuned for WrestleMania.
Christian fucking splats face first.
Yeah. Yeah, credit.
Go back and watch that. It's fucking gross.
Yeah, credit to him for taking that bump when he did, because, I mean, this feels like the Royal Rumble of nasty eliminations. Some of them were quite clean, and then others just sounded gross and just vile. You know, it's very much a mixed bag. But number 27.
Number 27.
I know you want to talk.
The 1 in 30 yes! that will win this match. It is the one. Billy Gunn.
Oh, of course it is. Even though he's not the one, he's not the one Billy Gunn in gimmick at this point.
The one Billy Gunn comes out to.
He will always be the one Billy Gunn, no matter what music he comes out to. And I think this is the point. Yeah. So Billy Gunn hits a famouser.
The one Billy Gunn.
I know. I said it just for you, Tomas. So I think this is the point where Taz asks that weird question on commentary. The one Billy Gunn is a House of Fire hitting famousers on his former tag team partner, The Big Show, for instance, Show Gun or Gun Show, whatever you want to call them. Remember that random tag team? Gun Show? SmackDown, just bring it memories, boy. There you go.
The one show.
The one show. Get out of here. Anywho, number 28 is John Cena. Huge pop from Philadelphia. Cena comes out with a Tugs McGraw Phillies jersey. He sees Nunzio sitting on the outside. And Nunzio with the most stereotypical and funny reaction. He's like, ah! He's just like flipping him off, and then, yep, full-blooded Italian.
Go away.
Mm-hmm. Or to F off. And Cena doesn't take no for an answer.
Go around school doing that after watching SmackDown.
Oh, God.
I did.
You did not.
Nobody knows that.
Nobody knew what it meant. It's almost like you're watching Friends and you see Ross do this, and nobody knows what it means. Yeah. it's very similar. But Cena's, throwing Nunzio in there, and Nunzio is finally, getting into the action, beating up John Cena, much like Gallows and Anderson like to do. Big Show gets in on it. Big Show is the one who really wants to hurt John Cena at this point. Stay tuned for when Cena's actually eliminated. Spoiler alert. Number 29, Rob Van Dam. Just to play into the interview that he had with Cena and filling in for that battle rap. Nothing really much going on until who comes out at number 30, Tomas? Your favorite.
He won a mini battle royal, a little over the top rope challenge to earn the number 30 spot. It's Goldberg.
Goldberg.
This match. It is very important to note that Goldberg was getting interviewed, and then Brock Lesnar interrupted the interview saying, the last time you interrupted one of my interviews, you were the champion. What happened to your championship? While Brock Lesnar just defeated Hardcore Holly to retain his WWE Championship.
Yeah.
So that is very important to keep in mind during this Royal Rumble match.
He basically said, hey, Billy, where's your fucking belt? It's in hindsight, again, I'm very glad Goldberg did not win this and go on to challenge Brock for the WWE title, because That match certainly did not need the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Goldberg is going in there, and he is just throwing just ham hocks. He is throwing jackhammers, and everybody fucking dies. Just like Murder Hawk Monster came in there. He goes in there, spears to Billy Gunn. He has Nunzio on his back. Nunzio's trying to get him in a sleeper hold. While Nunzio has him in the sleeper hold, Goldberg, because he's Goldberg, chucks Charlie Haas over the top rope. And then he hits, in my opinion, the most disgusting spear of all time. Nails Big Show with a ham hock and literally spears poor Nunzio so hard that he would have flown out of his shoes if they were untied a little bit. Like, my lord, poor Nunzio took a beating.
Nunzio's got some big shoes.
Yeah. He's got some big cojones, if you ask me, to take a spear like that.
We were talking about it, and we said they need to hold a goddamn funeral for Nunzio after taking that spear.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Godfather funeral.
100%. Yeah, Godfather funeral. Nunzio takes the spear. Goldberg eliminates the one Billy Gunn. It's a ruin Tomas's night. I know. Who will be the one? Why, the one Billy Gunn, of course. It was not meant to be.
The one Billy Gunn will always be one.
Yeah, he's number 9 on this stat sheet and number 1 in your heart, apparently. Goldberg chucks Nunzio into another stratosphere, and then he tries to do the unthinkable, going for a jackhammer on the Big Show. But then that's the point where the crowd starts reacting, and Brock Lesnar had run down to the ring, hits Goldberg with an F5. Last year's Royal Rumble winner, now the WWE Champion, not in this match, obviously. And then Goldberg is piercing a hole through Brock Lesnar at this point. You're next, you son of a bitch! He's pointing out at him. Kurt Angle takes advantage, chucks Goldberg out.
What other time can you recall where the WWE Champion interfered in the Royal Rumble match? This has to be the only time.
The Miz in 2011.
You're right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, he. I'm trying to think of any other instances. I'm sure it's happened more than those 2 times, but
interesting.
I could be wrong.
One of the only few times then.
I could be wrong, but yeah, it's one of the only few times. But we're left with a final 6 of Chris Benoit, the number 1 entrant, who had been in there for around 50 minutes at this time, still working his tail off. Kurt Angle, number 19, Big Show, Jericho, Cena, and Van Dam. That is a class of their own, like, of main eventers. Like, those are champions in their own right. A lot of them would go on to become Hall of Famers. None of them had won a Royal Rumble match at that point. But in any case, this is where Tomas's point about Big Show being well booked comes into play, because everybody gangs up on the Giant. They're hitting finisher moves. Benoit hits a diving headbutt, much to my worry. Jericho hits a lion salt, a totally dangerous looking lion salt, by the way. Big Show is like 3/4 of the way across the ring. Van Dam 5-star frog splash. Cena 5 knuckles shuffle. And then Kurt takes charge at this point, and he's
basically directing traffic at this point.
Yeah, Kurt didn't hit him with an angle slam. At least I don't think so. He's like, all right, let's get him out of here. And then they try to lift this Giant up, and then Big Show bursts through everybody. And this is the point where John Cena, the poster boy for this show, got eliminated. And my lord, Tomas, were you as scared to see Cena land the way he did like I was? Like,
absolutely, yes, I was.
Good God.
The nastiest landing on his foot, and you could just see that fucking thing bend.
Tore his
agony on Cena's face.
Yeah, tore his PCL going out of the ring. But because he's John Cena, he would go to work SmackDown the next week, and he would go on to work No Way Out as well, and WrestleMania. He would not take any time off from a torn PCL, which is crazy. But, I mean, this is the first instance where you'd see John Cena literally become Superman out there. It's just wild. That dude heals like nobody else.
The injury was so bad that he landed a spot on the Don't Try This at Home video package for a while.
Yeah, sure did. I remember those home video releases going into 05. Big Show tosses RVD with relative ease. RVD takes a totally nasty bump on the barricade in his own right. Jericho, Walls of Jericho, Big Show taps out to that hold. But then he chokeslams Jericho out of the ring. And we're left with an all SmackDown Final 3 of Benoit, Show, and Angle.
I miss when they took SmackDown seriously.
Man. Oh, trust me, they're never going to take SmackDown this seriously ever again. Kurt locks in the ankle lock. And no. I'm sorry. Show tried hitting a choke slam on Kurt. And then Kurt goes for the ankle lock. Show taps out to that hold. And that leads into probably my second favorite elimination after the next one. Big Show is in the ankle lock. He gets to the ropes. And then he uses all of his momentum to go over the ropes himself. And Kurt takes a somersault-like bump to the outside. It was so clean. It was great.
I will say, sometimes eliminations like that look so, I don't want to use the word fake, but like, you'll see one guy put in little effort, and then the other guy literally has to like, literally throw themselves over the top rope. No, that spot looked like Big Show used 100% of his weight to pull Angle over the top rope.
Oh, yeah. But as soon as Kurt was gone, I was like, the writing's on the wall right here. It's gotta be. But I didn't want to believe it. But it was true. Chris Benoit was in the ring from number 1. He was in there for pretty much an hour. Locking in the crippler crossface on Big Show. Show hit him with a choke slam. And he's like, it's over, Benoit. Benoit's on his last gasp. Just grabbing at Show's singlet. Show has him in a press slam hold. And I'm like, this is it. Poor Benoit is going to be just splatted out there. But how do you describe this elimination, Tomas? How do you describe it? Like,
Big Show is trying to just super simple put Benoit on his shoulder and throw him out of the ring. But Benoit, being this stubborn little Wolverine, basically, to live up to the name, puts Big Show in a headlock over the top rope. And he is squeezing like he has a death wish on Big Show's neck. And he is slowly, and I mean slowly, pulling Big Show over the top rope. Big Show was literally using his hand to stand on the apron. And then finally, with all that force and momentum, he is able to flip Big Show over the top rope. Big Show was eliminated. Benoit has won the Royal Rumble match.
After 1 hour of hell, basically, Benoit ran the table. And okay, so think about this. Benoit lasted over an hour, which is
1 hour, 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Amazing in and of itself. I believe that's the second longest stint in the Royal Rumble ever. I'm not counting the greatest Royal Rumble because that's a blood money show, so I'm not, counting that. I'm sorry, Daniel Bryan, but that's just how it is.
We can give Danielson his credit.
Right, we can give Danielson his credit. Yeah, but that was a 50-man Rumble, too, so, like...
Which makes it even more impressive.
It's got an asterisk.
Danielson, I recognize it for Danielson's performance.
Yeah.
Anything else in that match is the fact that
Danielson
technically holds the record.
Yeah, traditionally speaking, though, in regular old 30-man Rumble matches, Mysterio is number 1, and then you have Benoit after that. This is one of the greatest Royal Rumble performances of all time, because not only did he run the table, but if you look at how he was booked throughout the entire match, guys, all of his eliminations were on men considerably larger than him. Rhino, Bradshaw, Matt Morgan, Mark Henry, A-Train, and finally the Big Show at the end. It's brilliant booking. And Benoit, the crowd was elated that Benoit won.
And the point I wanted to make about that was those names again: Rhino, Morgan, Big Show, A-Train. It's like Benoit was going back and defeating his demons from this past year.
Yep.
Rhino, his former tag team partner,
Bingo.
that turned on him. Matt Morgan and Big Show and A-Train for being on Team Lesnar. A-Train specifically for dropping Benoit on his head at No Mercy. It's like Benoit was eliminating all of his demons.
But it's just, it's brilliant. Now, I know a lot of people would have wished that Benoit had eliminated Angle at the end just for vindication of Angle beating him at last year's Royal Rumble in this retro. But, I mean, how do you beat Benoit literally powering Big Show with all of his brute strength over the top rope? That visual as a kid, I will never forget it as long as I live. This is, for me, Tomas, this is going to sound crazy. This Royal Rumble gets 5 stars from me. This is my personal favorite Royal Rumble match of all time. And it's a damn shame that Chris Benoit ended his life the way he did, because this will never, ever be, talked about in the public eye as much as it could have been if Benoit had never gone and did that stuff. But, I love this match. I love this Royal Rumble.
When it comes to rating Royal Rumbles, I feel like it's always hard for me because there's so many different elements that go into a Rumble match. This Rumble match definitely gets 2 thumbs up for me. And the performance of Benoit is honestly the cherry on top of the sundae. It was excellent from start to finish. And there's a lot of guys that have gone from 1 to the end. But to take that much punishment and to perform the way he did in that match is almost unmatchable.
Yeah. I mean, I get it if you don't want to ever watch this Royal Rumble ever again to the viewers. And I get it. I get it. You can never look at a Chris Benoit match the same way ever again. But for me, this was like, when I was a kid, I would rewatch this Royal Rumble over and over and over again. More than any other. Just because of the story that was being told and the booking that was going into it, and just the progression and the characters that were in there. Kurt Angle being the ring general, Randy Orton being the stubborn little prick at the beginning, Mick Foley coming in and getting his vindication, Chris Jericho and Christian having their little drama, Kane being thrown off by the Undertaker's gong. Just the tip of the iceberg for that. And Benoit's Iron Man performance that will forever live in Royal Rumble lore, if you ask me. This is my personal favorite Royal Rumble match. I don't really have any other arguments about why it is. I know a lot of people praise 1992 and 2001, but I didn't watch those shows live. I watched the 2004 Royal Rumble live, and that was everything. Excellent. I love this match.
Overall, as a show, I think I feel comfortable giving this a 7 out of 10 because the Royal Rumble was excellent. We had a great World Championship match despite the finish, but everything else was just bite-sized matches. And on pay-per-view, you can't have bite-sized matches.
Yeah, I'm going 7.5 for this, mainly because of those last 2 matches. I think I hold a little bit more sentimental value with this show because of the Rumble match, but yeah. Childhood memories here, and I can't wait to relive them over and over again with you, Tomas. Next up, No Way Out 2004, a show which has my biggest regret as a professional wrestling fan, which that's just a little bit of a teaser of what you can expect from that one.
So, to let everybody know right now, I'm going to ask everyone and thank everyone in advance for being patient with me.
Yes.
July is going to be very messy for me. Because I'm moving.
Yes, he is.
Moving to the Great Bay Area. And we're still figuring out so much right now. So I'm going to thank everyone in advance for being patient with me.
Absolutely.
I know there's going to be 3 big shows that we're going to review. And we will get to them when we get to them.
We sure will.
Please, just hang in there with me.
Everybody... Yeah, be patient with us. Tomas is going through a big change in his life right now, so we should all respect that for sure. We do have, July has Money in the Bank and SummerSlam bookending the month, which is so odd. Why is SummerSlam in July this year? It makes no sense. But what else do we got? Yeah, No Way Out 04. You guys also voted in King of the Ring 2001 on our Retro Pod. We will get to that when we get to that. But next up, I think we can do Forbidden Door. Next up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forbidden Door is a go.
Yeah, Forbidden Door. Can't wait for that one. Moxley and Tanahashi. Osprey and Orange Cassidy, which was just confirmed. Yeah, it's looking like a nice card for sure. But smash that subscribe button if you're new. Hit that thumbs up as well. It would mean the world. See you guys for the next one. Keep loving entertainment. Keep loving the movies and wrestling and all that stuff. See you guys next time.